Oh my gosh. You see that? It's freezing in here. Happy winter solstice, my friend. I am rocking my cozy winter sweater for today's practice because we're celebrating the change of this season as we transition into winter. This practice doesn't only have to be practiced around the winter time. As far as physically what we're focusing on today's practice is we're focusing on a really heart-centered practice. So it's going to be a gentle, low to the ground, heart-opening practice. So put on your cozy clothes, roll out your yoga mat, and let's get started.
Welcome to Yoga with Carolynne. In this channel, you will gain the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence to practice yoga, no matter your size, your age, or your ability to touch your toes.
So what is the winter solstice? The winter solstice is the day of the year where we have the longest night of the year, but it's also the day where we begin to welcome back the sun. So from this day forward, the days begin to get a little bit longer. And so I find that that notion is a really encouraging notion, given that the winter is definitely associated with kind of darkness and feeling sluggish and the winter blues. And so there can be a little bit of apprehension when it comes to entering into the winter season. But I find that idea of from this day forward, the days begin to get longer, a really encouraging notion to help carry you through the winter season. So symbolically, what we're really celebrating is a chance to use that stillness, that quiet, that darkness as a really cozy and helpful container to be able to recenter, recalibrate, and come back home to yourself. So that self that knows the answer, that self that knows what feels good and what is right for you. So for today's practice, you are going to want a few props. As always, if you're familiar with my videos, you know that we use props here because this channel is all about really making yoga accessible for you. So you're going to want, I had eyelash in my eye. So you're going to want to have a bolster as well as 2 blocks, and a blanket is always nice because it's just a nice added bonus because we're going to be on our knees. So we're actually going to be starting in hero's pose for today's practice, which is going to be on your knees. If you know right off the bat that's not going to be a comfortable shape for you because your knees are not going to appreciate it, then that's okay. Start in a cross-legged position. As always, my suggestions are just that, suggestions. So you do what feels comfortable for you because that's the first step, right? Of coming back to that inner light, that intuition, that inner voice, that inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it, of knowing what is right for you. So coming onto your knees and seating yourself onto your heels. And you'll see that I've actually placed a block underneath of my sit bones because that helps alleviate any sort of pressure that you might have on your knees or any added extra weight that isn't really necessary on your ankles or the tops of your feet. You can use 1 block, you can use 2 blocks, really raising yourself up. So placing your hands on your lap, on your knees, wherever they fall comfortably, and then bringing your eyes to a close. Taking just a few easy breaths as you settle onto your mat and into your practice. Using this sacred time that you have on your mat as a time to pause, take stock, see what you can learn, see what you can experience through this change of this season. As you welcome back the light. What light would you like to welcome back into your life? Beginning to deepen and lengthen that breath. No need to make it too complicated. Just see if you can send that breath a little bit deeper. if you can lengthen the inhales and the exhales a little bit more. Soften the jaw, soften the shoulders. And let's take a deep inhale together, you and I. Inhale. On the exhale, drop the chin in towards the chest. Inhale to stay. Exhale, drop the shoulders down even a little bit more. And like as if you're carving a line with the tip of your nose. Take an inhale to draw a line up, up, up with the nose, the chin reaching up towards the sky. Exhale to stay. Take one more inhale, reach up a little higher with the spine and the chin. Exhale, come back into center, back into neutral with the head. Using the breath again. Inhale, looking over top of the left shoulder. On your exhale, come back into center. Inhale, looking over top of the right shoulder. Exhale to come back into center. One more time. Inhale with your breath, looking over top of the left shoulder. Maybe the eyes look back a little bit. The exhale brings you back into center. Inhale, the other side. Exhale, come back into center. Picking up your hands and placing the palms of your hands right on your chest, right on your heart. Using that grip of the hands that you have on your heart, kind of see if you can pull the skin down. So really encouraging that skin across the heart to soften a little bit. Noticing, what does that feel like in your neck? What does that feel like in the upper back? You noticing if you can feel your heartbeat underneath of your hands. And we're gonna do that exact same movement that we just did. So keep pulling that skin across the heart and down. And then on your inhale, looking over top of the left shoulder. Exhale, come back into center. Inhale, other side. Exhale, center one more time with your own breath at your own pace. Wonderful. Once you come back into center, releasing the hands down onto the knees, palm face down. So again, you can do this in hero's pose or in cross-legged. Using that grip of the hands on the knees, take an inhale to open the heart forward and the gaze looks up towards the sky. As you exhale, press into the hands as you spread the shoulder blades wide, tuck the chin in towards the chest. Again, inhale, open that heart forward, gaze up. Exhale as you press into the knees, spread the shoulder blades wide, tuck the chin in towards the chest. Let's add on to it here. On the inhale, pick up the hands, reach them out towards the side, and then reach the hands back behind you, gaze up. Palms open towards the front of your space. Exhale, as you reach in the fingertips, kind of wiggle the fingertips, reach the fingertips forward, spread the shoulder blades. Again, inhale, cross the heart, find that stretch across the chest, gaze up. Exhale as you reach forward with the fingertips, spread the shoulder blades wide. One more time with your own breath. Come back into center. we're going to release out of hero's pose to come into tabletop position. So coming onto your hands and onto your knees. Once you make your way into your tabletop position, we'll mimic the same movement that we just did when we were seated. So that cat-cow movement. So on the inhale, let the belly drop, gaze looks up towards the sky. Starting at the base of your spine, begin to tip the tailbone, spread the shoulder blades, tuck the chin in towards the chest. Again, inhale, drop the belly down, gaze looks up towards the sky. Exhale as you tip that tailbone, spread the shoulder blades, tuck the chin in. One more time. Then come back into center, and then let this just become a little bit kind of more free-flowing and finding a movement that just feels good. So you can begin to make some movement into the hips. Maybe bring some movement into the shoulders. You can do some kind of skipping rope movements with the spine or some big circles with the hips. Or you can do a combo of all of those options. It just kind of move in any way that feels good as you check in and explore how your body's feeling. And also explore what happens when you begin to listen to your inner wisdom. So that voice, that inner light inside of you that knows what you need, that knows what feels good. So sometimes it helps to bring the eyes closed so you can really hone into listening to that. Resisting the urge to make it more complicated than it needs to be. Coming back into center, you're in your tabletop position again. Inhale to shine the heart forward, gaze looks up. On the exhale, find your cat pose and begin to tip the hips back to come into a child's pose. Right away on the inhale, bend the elbows, pull the heart forward to come into your cow pose. Exhale. Cat pose, send the hips back, child's pose. So we're linking 3 different poses together here with your breath. Let the heart lead you here as you inhale, come forward. Exhale, arch, press it back. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, press it back. One more time. Now this time, as you bend the elbows, shine the heart forward, walk the hands forward to then bring yourself down onto your belly. Once you make your way down onto your belly, bring the fingertips off of your yoga mat on either side of your chest. So you'll see I've created this little kind of tent with my fingertips, pressing the fingertips into the floor. Bring the elbows so that they're shining up towards the sky. Soften the shoulders a little bit. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. We're going to keep flowing it really gently with the breath. Inhale, roll the shoulders back. Press into the fingertips. Lift yourself up. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Roll the shoulders back. Begin to straighten the arms. They don't have to be stick straight. That's not the point here. Exhale, bring it down. Don't worry about how high you're lifting, but just noticing where you're finding that sensation, where you're finding that stretch as you shine the heart forward. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, bring it down. Beautiful. Take a second. Pause. Bring the hands underneath of the forehead.
Let your legs soften. And then pressing yourself up onto your elbows to come into Sphinx pose. So elbows are underneath of the shoulders, palms of the hands are on the mat. If this doesn't feel so good for your low back, you can widen your feet about the width of the mat. As you inhale, feeling that heart center shining forward. And as you exhale, letting the hips, letting the belly soften. 3 more breaths like that. Once you've taken your 3 deep breaths, if your eyes are open, take a second to just close your eyes, bring your attention to where you feel the sensation. So it might be across the heart center, it might be in the mid back, the low back, or the hips. And ask yourself, does this feel good? Is this where I want to stay? So really checking in with that inner light, that inner wisdom. Does this feel good, or do you want to kind of increase the sensation a little bit? If the answer to the question is you would like to increase the sensation, but again, don't do what you think you have to do. So listen to what feels good. The option is there to either stay right where you are, you're alone, nobody's seeing you, so it doesn't matter what option you choose. Or you can come into seal pose. So if you'd like to come into seal pose, definitely widen the feet, about the width of the mat or even off of the mat. Widen your hands and press into the palms of the hands to straighten the arms. So very similar to what we were doing in that rippling flow movement, right? So really shining that heart forward. This will be pretty much the only time I'll ever say lock into the elbows, because that'll help with that keeping upright and not having to muscle your way through it. And then just 3 deep breaths here. Once you've taken those 3 deep breaths, slowly, 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 if you're in seal pose, begin to bend into the elbows again. Widen the elbows to stack hands on top of each other. Forehead comes back down onto the hands. And then to release that shape, you can bend at the legs and allow the feet to flop from side to side. Hands come underneath of the shoulders, press into the hands and the knees, back into your tabletop position. Then we're going to be exploring melting heart pose here. So grabbing hold of your bolster if you have your bolster nearby. If you don't have a bolster, then you can use your blocks. You're in your tabletop position again, and the aim here in this shape is to keep the hips above the knees. From your tabletop position, walking over top of that bolster with the hands. Walk the hands forward to allow the chest, the heart, to settle down onto that bolster, and then the chin just comes onto the front of the bolster. If you've come into it here and you're not really feeling a whole lot of sensation, that might be your indicator that the bolster is not necessarily needed in this shape. So maybe you would like to just explore this shape by bringing your heart all the way down towards the mat. What can you soften in this shape here? How can you use the stillness and the peace in this shape to find what feels good and find that connection with yourself? to release out of the shape nice and slow, lifting yourself up away from the mat. And then walking your hips back into child's pose. This time, bringing the arms alongside the body with the palms open towards the sky to let your upper back get a little bit of a break here. Allowing your shoulder blades to slide away from each other as you settle into this shape. Use the stillness as a helpful container. Use the quiet as a way to listen and deepen your relationship with yourself. It's through creating that ability to listen and that ability to find that relationship with your inner light, that inner wisdom, that will help carry you through the winter season in a really nurturing and intentional way. How can you welcome back your inner light? Slowly sliding the hands underneath of the shoulders, pressing yourself up. And you're going to set yourself up here with a little bit of a building, a little bit of a structure. So grabbing hold of your blocks and your bolster. And you can do this in front of you or behind you, it doesn't really matter. And you're creating this ramp. So if you have practiced with me before, you've seen this little structure that is really, really helpful to create. So you've got your blocks, one in its lowest height, one in its highest height, and then placing your bolster on top of those blocks so that you can see you've created this really supportive shape for your body to settle down. And then turn yourself around. Once you've turned yourself around, bringing the soles of the feet together, knees open wide. And then you've got yourself snug up against that little building, that little structure, and then gliding all the way down onto that structure. And then as you settle down, I will encourage you to choose where you'd like to place your hands. For some people, the seat of your intuition, your inner light, your inner wisdom sits in the belly, so right in your gut. So if that's the case for you, or maybe you don't know the answer to that question, so that's okay too. But if that's the case for you, bringing the hands onto the belly, palms face down. For some, it is in the heart, so you can bring both of your hands onto your heart, palms face down. Or if you don't really know, bring one hand onto the belly and one hand onto the heart. Bring your eyes to a close. Just breathe. Watch as you feel your hands rise and fall as you inhale and as you exhale. Welcoming back your inner light. Using this stillness, this darkness, and this peace around you, the coziness that comes with the winter season, to find that deeper connection.
this is where we end today's practice because this shape is such a nice one to hold for as long as you need or want. So please take your time, enjoy this. Thank you so much for joining me during today's winter solstice practice. From my heart to yours, until next time, namaste.